We'll next speak about the district level election, but let me just read this one from Jerry Amajo, who says allegations were made against headmasters for collecting 20 Ghana cedis and 30 Ghana cedis for items that students themselves would need in school, and immediately they were made to step aside or interdicted. But a gargantuan scandal of this nature, people are still at post. And Mr. Akumia is saying what? I have this one from Osei Boating from Inshaeso in Kumasi. He says, if you take a look at all the scandals that have happened under the government, it is surprising that nobody has been in jail. I am MPP, but just take a look at all the things that are happening and no action is being taken. It has an effect on the party and the morale of supporters. Lawyer Kakri Samoa says, I should say good morning to you.
Hey, it's my senior.
Okay. So, senior lawyer Kakri Samoa of Nana Akumia, he says Nana Akumia has been humbled and shamed by the revelation. In John Mohammed's time, he would happily have shouted that this is a stinking government. I'm waiting for his appropriate adjective for this gargantuan stealing. Good morning, sir.
Ask him a question.
Which question?
Ask him if that's how he taught me.
Is that how you taught him? Says I should ask you. Kofi Kwatiameni says, Mr. Akumia is inconsistent and incoherent after all the things that have been said, and especially the letter that has been read.
Which letter?
It is sad.
Which letter has been read?
Now let's talk about the district level elections. What do you make of, whether there is a seeming lack of disinterest? It has always blighted elections, is that not? Why is it that we don't seem to take a lot of interest in the district level elections?
It's a problem. It's a problem because we are used to parliamentary elections and then presidential elections. It's relegated the district assembly elections into third or fourth place. The excitement is not there because people are looking forward to parliamentary elections and these are the national elections, really, parliamentary elections and presidential elections. The district assembly, where there's just a local area, will not be able to compete with the other elections. And so it's a problem. If you had even the parliamentary elections, now we have them same day as the presidential. Even if you had the parliamentary elections on a different day, you will find out that the level of excitement will not be as the presidential. The parliamentary elections, therefore, benefits from the excitement of the presidential election because they are all held on the same day. So we have to find ways of getting some more excitement. In fact, the status of the assemblyman himself or herself is also part of the problem. Hardly would you find people with issues in their areas thinking of the assemblyman. They would think of the MP, And when I was a member of parliament, people would come to you because the water was not flowing that morning, in their home. And you would think that an assemblyman who's in that neighborhood
should take responsibility.
But they will come to you, the MP. These days, that they are mobile phones. They will call you. They wouldn't. Those days they will walk to your house. But now they can just call you and give their consent. And then you now call the assemblyman.
You are showing how long you've been around. You said in those days no phone.
Yes, well, I went to Parliament. Well,
I know.
Mobile phone. I got my first mobile phone
1998?
in 1998.
Yes,
1998. So
from 96.
From 96, 97,
Mobitel,
98,
yes.
you really didn't have widespread. So, but now that everybody has a phone, so they will call you. Even if their electricity goes off, they will call you. So the assemblyman himself or herself doesn't seem to have much clout in our political scheme, and it's affected the enthusiasm. As we speak, I had people calling me I live in two areas to
Okay.
speak. I live at Teshi. That's where I live. But my vote is at Kanishi.
Okay.
I have my neighbors in Teshi calling me to find out who they should vote for.
Your residential area,
Yes.
like in terms of...
Yes, but I don't vote there.
Yes.
I vote at Kanishi. And I have people also calling me from Kanishi
As to who they should
as
vote
to
for.
who they should vote for.
You mean your party
in the-
people
in
or
the
residential?
Party people, residents, asking who they should vote for in North Kanishi. So it shows that they might not even go and vote, and they haven't had the... As we go on, we should bring the assemblyman or the assemblywoman more to the center
Okay.
of decision-making in the community. The member of parliament goes to parliament, and so he can make a statement on the floor about an issue in his constituency, maybe some bad road or some lack of electricity or lack of education, whatever, and it will get national attention. The assemblyman doesn't have that kind of forum, you know, and the mechanisms that we have, district assembly common fund, then the MP too has a fund, so it goes through the DCE, and nothing really comes through the assembly man or woman to be able to show his relevance, you know, and so we have to look at the political architecture as well. But as many people who can make their time should go and vote. I would go to North Kanishi later in the day to go and vote.
Okay.
It's a civic responsibility, and the assembly people can be useful
Okay.
if we want them to be useful. And I'm hoping that it will be incident-free. There's a bit of politics in there, whether you like it or not. And but I hope that doesn't translate into disturbances, and then we'll have a smooth process.
If you look at the way we've conducted it, and if you also follow the arguments made by leading political scientists, whether in academia, the Institute for Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Kwete's team, and a number of them, and even what the president and the government had tried to front, that we should undertake the election of MMDCEs on political party basis, etc., and that also will encapsulate all these structures. Perhaps if we were doing it on party political lines, it would have created more enthusiasm, right? What's the fear? What fear do we have, Mr.
I think
Sebefe?
that it was, you're trying to cure a mischief. And if you're going to go into elections of the assemblymen and also on a partisan basis, on the face of it is not a problem, but it must cure the mischief which exists, which is simply that you can't do that and still leave the power with appointees of government who
Explain.
outnumber the rest who have even been elected. Because the government or the president has the power of appointing various people at their district assembly. And if you really want a non-partisan thing, it's like saying that, okay, there are 275 MPs, but the president can appoint 300 MPs as well to go into parliament. Anytime there's a vote, the 300 MPs will push it through. So that the architecture, as Nana, is a problem. And we have to look at it, and then we can make it partisan. And there will be a different flavor to it. Then you also have to look at the cost. Because I think that a lot of things that we do in our party political space should be government funded to lower certain issues. And it also begins a fight against some level of corruption. Because a lot of the corruption is sparked by the fact that people need the money to do these, events. And if a political party or an individual is running for MP or district assembly, if certain funding is not in place and they must be seen to be funding it, where do they get the money from? And that is a whole conversation that must be held by all, so that we can actually reduce the cost of the elections and yet also move to the position of elections, making it partisan.
You know, we were nearly there the last time, and your party decided to...
Yes, because it didn't,
because there was some level of negotiation.
It wasn't going to cure the mischief. As I've said, at the end of the day, the whole intention, which was to make people vote, was and have somebody who had the power or people who had the power to make decisions of their own was not going to be achieved because of the nature of our architecture. And there's a whole document that was put together by our team as to why the way that it was going to be done
was not the best.
Was not the best. But in principle, we don't have. Can I just add one very important aspect? In this election, there is a point which the EC has not come out clearly, and I hope it's not. We were of the view that it wouldn't happen. This is the issue of indelible ink. As part of all our voting, all voters must use indelible ink before they vote so that the ability to vote twice in different areas
is reduced to the barest minimum.
We've never had an election where indelible ink has not been part of the voting process.
The one we use on
the one you use on your finger. And there's this continuous clamor. And I don't know whether it was addressed by Jean Mensah in her rendition yesterday, because I know she did a press conference prior to us going in, and whether that is the case. Because if it is not, then it's unfortunate. It's a huge issue. Huge issue.
You think this is a step towards a mini election not to use?
It's not. Look, all these elections on the face of it are non-partisan. So you would expect it to be a parliamentary issue that should be raised in parliament because it affects our people. It's not for MPP or NDC to necessarily be raising it. But I sit here and it concerns me. Any election we are going into, indelible ink, apart from the machine, which you say you voted, what if your name is loaded on a separate machine elsewhere? Does that not give you the chance to be able to vote there? Who does the checks? So to circumvent that, we have always had indelible ink as part of, and it was something that was put in place from the early days, I think it was 96 or so, that they actually brought it in, not even in the 92 election, and so on and so forth. I may tell a lie. But that is why they should come out clearly and say what their position is. And my understanding was that, oh no, it was rumor. But we are beginning to hear that in some places, that is not the case. And that will be extremely unfortunate because it's a major departure from what we do in elections. And that
to ensure transparency.
Yes.
All right. At what point do we confront the subject or the issue of political party involvement in local government elections?
Well, it was supposed to, the intention was that partisan elections was divisive. And so you would have an MP at a national level. The fear is that you may have a government which will say that I do not get votes from this area, and so I'm not going to pay attention to this area. Or you may have a member of parliament who would say that I do not get votes from this area of my constituency. So if I have street lights to install, I'm going to take it to a place where I have the votes and so on. So the fear is that partisan politics at the national level, at the parliamentary level, is divisive and could be discriminatory. And so let's try and dilute that by depoliticizing the base, and the assembly is the base of the local government administration, so that you don't have politics. We can do politics at the top, the middle and the top, but the bottom will be free. So that was the thinking. And so if you now bring in partisan politics at the district level, then you've politicized the whole. Okay. But the other argument is that if you can have national politics, you can have partisan politics at the top. The president is supposed to be the father of the nation, or the mother of the nation if he happens to be a woman. But he or she will be a partisan product. So if you can have that, and in the middle, the member of parliament is from a political party. He is supposed to be the member of parliament for the whole constituency.
Even the appointed MMDCs are...
And so on. And then the MMDCs. So why not the assembly man or woman? So there are two sides of the. I believe that let's look at the architecture and bring the assembly person, make them more influential, so that people will recognize the assembly person as useful. And then when you have that, people will then go to them with their issues. And so people will then take a better interest in their election. That's what I think we should do for now.
Right. Thank you
But
very much.
one last point.
You
This
wanted to-
business about the Indelible ink. The arguments for, the arguments against. The EC says that the biometrics that it has, the facial recognition, the fingerprinting, is such that you cannot beat it.
Even you support the non-use of the...
Now, I'm giving you the pros and cons. So the biometrics has gone to such an extent that you can rely on it to prevent double voting. But you know, machines may fail. And we've had instances in this country
Several
in the middle of elections. I mean, you go to the bank, they tell you the system is down. You go to sometimes my own place, you are buying online ticketing, they say it's slow and all of that. So systems, these are machines, they may fail. And if that happens, then what is your record? That is mine. But my bottom point is that the EC should engage the political parties so that a decision like this should have been canvassed through IPAC. But this is what you say, they don't go to IPAC. So we are in a difficult situation.
Well, they just rejoined IPAC. Chief Mante says some of us are afraid that the OSP will be stopped from conducting this investigation into the SML. And then I have this one from Sonny. It says, Roland, are you aware the elections have been postponed indefinitely at the Krobo area, Lower Manya, Yolo, and Upper Manya? What might have been the reasons? We'll go and find out there. And then Jerry also says, Lower Manya constituency, no elections. Oh, okay. And then Dr. Segbefia, I believe the resources for development are decentralized to your assemblies. Our local district level elections will be taken seriously. Thank you very much, all of you.
Yes,
Money, all of you joining us today.
One, I'm not doctor, I'm Mr. Segbefia.
No, not you.
No,
it's
he
from Dr.
referred.
Kofi.
Oh, Dr. Kofa, okay. And secondly, we haven't gone back to IPAC. Very important statement.
Which is even worse.
We're off.